Hello, boys and girls. My name is Miss Longoria, and it's math time. So today we're going to be talking about ratios, and I know we had briefly covered them, but today we are going to talk about three different types of ratios in more depth. So the first ratio that we're going to talk about is part-to-part ratios. Part-to-part ratios are used to compare one part to another part of the same whole. So you might want to write this down. Part-to-part ratios are used to compare one part to another part of the same whole. So this is the definition. How would it look? If we have a basket of fruit and we have 4 apples and 3 pears, we would have that part apples to part pears is 4 apples to 3 pears. Now you could also write it as 4/3. Keep in mind that even though this looks as a fraction, and you might want to write this down, this looks as a fraction, but it is not a fraction. All right, so the next ratio is part to whole, and this is comparing a part of something to the whole. Part to whole ratios compare a part to a whole. This is part to whole ratios. So if we go back at our fruit basket, we would say that we have 4 apples that is the part, and the whole is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 fruits. If we write it down in a ratio, it would look 4/7. Now, as the part to part, it looked like a fraction, but it wasn't. In part to whole, 4/7 is actually a fraction. So remember that. And the last ratio we're going to learn about today is ratios as quotients. So, ratios as quotients are used to divide one quantity by another. So again, we're going to go back to the example of the apples. So if we are going to use money, for example, we can say that $1 buys 4 apples. Okay, so $1 divides 4 apples. So if we write it in a sentence, it would be $1 to 4 apples. Or we can do it as 1/4. Now, if we do this as a division, we know that's, $1 is 100 cents. So if we divide $1 divided by 4, we have that each apple will be worth 25 cents. So that's what the ratio of the apple is, or the ratio of money to apple would be. Okay, now to get a little practice, we are going to use these two numbers to create a statement for each one of the ratios. So the part-to-part ratio, any examples? Yes, so we will have 5 girls to 10 boys. That's a part-to-part. For the part-to-whole ratio, we would have 5 girls to 10 classmates. 5 to 10, 5 being the part, 10 being the whole. And a ratio as a quotient would be 5 balls to $10. That would mean that each ball is $2, right? Yes, good job. Okay, guys, now please get into your groups. We are going to be working on the ratios problems worksheets, and we're going to go over the answers after you're done. Okay, guys, so here are the answers to the problems. We have that there is 11 to 1 for number 1. We have 17 to 33 for number 3. We have 1 to 31 for number 3. Number 4 is 12 to 19. 5, it's a three-way ratio, so we have 13 to 5 to 20. And finally, number 6 is 31 to 1. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.